no
It has been a hot
idea.
minute. A hot minute since we've uploaded a podcast. The last one we did was it was called Ice Cold Programming. I do remember that, but I don't remember what the number was. So just, if you need to know the number, just look at the number. It has it on the episode.
Yeah, it'll say
when
it.
we upload it, we'll be sure to put the number on the episode.
Episode.
Yes, that episode. It's my favorite episode. Blah, 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 blah.
We'll know for the next one, for
So
sure.
it is contest season.
Yeah, a lot of people are done. We are not.
We are not. Yes, this is the beginning of April. It is Easter, actually.
Yes, happy
This is
Easter.
the first time we have had the chance to sit down and do this because we have been running like crazy people, both getting ready for contests ourselves, and we've done a fair bit of judging and clinicking over the last few weeks.
Yeah, the last judging gig I had, everybody was kind of shocked at how late our contest is.
Yes, because we go April 16th. That's our magic day. And I'm kind of glad because if we'd have gone this last week, I think maybe about half of my band was there every day, close to it.
And
I think
only
there was,
half the band directors were there.
and only half the band directors because Michelle
Although
was
I
out
wouldn't,
judging.
I
but-
wouldn't have accepted that gig if we had contests. So.
Yeah, so we have this week, we have a 4-day week this week to prepare, and then the next, we really have 4 more rehearsals after that because we go to contest the next Thursday. So, so we still have 8 rehearsals, which is great. But the main thing we wanted to talk about with this particular episode was accountability, because it's something that we talk about, but how do we practice it? That's usually the question.
And this kind of came about because there's been a few times we've talked to band directors that they just kind of asked us how we do things, like how do we keep our kids accountable, or asked us about our pass-off system, or things like that. And we were kind of shocked that they didn't have something like that in
place.
Practice. Yeah,
already, which, a lot of times if you're in a program and everything you're doing is working for you, sometimes you take for granted what you're doing that is doing everything that is causing everything to go so well.
Well, then I guess because I've always been in a program that had that in place, I just assumed everybody did something like that.
And I grew up in a program that was even a small school program that you were held accountable by coming and passing off your music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Same.
There were long lines because it was one band director in the band hall and you had to do it. Otherwise your grade wasn't good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what we did. Now, our accountability system now, because of technology and things, has changed, I think, considerably.
It's so much easier, I feel like, than
I think so.
when we were younger.
But the bottom line is that you have to start accountability immediately, if not sooner. So we start ours in the 6th grade.
Oh, yeah.
We have those kids accountable for whatever concept they're going to do. And there's a variety of ways that we do that. Number one is just the good old-fashioned playing test.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, in 6th grade, I try to hear every single kid play. I try at the very beginning of the year to hear every single one of them play individually every single day. Sometimes that's not possible, and I know in a bigger program that probably would be impossible, but we're a smaller program, so...
We are, and now I do know for a fact that some programs, even on the bigger side, have their beginners split up so that they have a class maybe of 15. Well, my last period class is bigger than that.
Okay, yeah,
I actually have 19.
Well, and when
of different instruments at that.
So when we first started, it was all of the kids together, and it would have been nearly impossible to hear every kid play.
However,
every day,
I did try to hear every kid at least every other day.
Right.
When I taught them all together.
Well, and even when we split Woodwinds Brass, it was tough to hear every kid every day, but hearing them, like you said, every other day, that needed you need to hear them play by themselves. It's so important.
Even if it's just something simple, whatever you're using is your warm-up. And yes, if you are in beginner band, warm-ups are important, even though you're trying to build literacy. But if you don't have those warm-ups set in place, by the time they get to your actual academic band, they're going to be lost.
And it does not have to be for a grade. Hearing them play, it doesn't have to be for a grade. So one of my favorite things to do is to have somebody lead the warm-up. We do a lot of I play, you play, or like Josh likes to call it.
IPY.
Oh, I hate it, but that's what he calls it, and the kids love it. We're not even going to talk. Well, I guess you can tell them what you call you
If
play.
you've heard previous episodes, now we changed it a little bit. And it was my trombone class actually that changed this. It used to be they came up with this.
Oh God!
And I said, okay, here we go, Youpie Poopie, where we all play together, and they changed it to Youpie don't sound like poopy.
Oh, okay, I kind of like
so
that. Actually,
we have
that's
that.
better.
We say Youpie. All right, here we go, guys. Youpie don't sound like poopy, and here we go. And they giggle at it the first couple of times, but it makes it memorable.
I approve of that so much more.
UP don't sound like poopy. There you go.
Than what it was before. I don't say those things. I just
do.
say I play.
I say a lot
I
of
play,
things.
then you play, or.
But they become desensitized to it.
That's
so when
true.
you go now we're in the last 6 weeks of school, and I say
I'm also going to point out Josh is the fun one, and I am not.
Unless you're in high school band. The high school band thinks she's the fun one, and I'm not. But that's how it's supposed to be. The head director is not supposed to be the fun one. He's supposed to be the mean one, and I don't think I'm mean.
Although they will not they will not do their pass-offs for me.
They are scared to death to play for Michelle for pass-offs. But we'll get to that when we get to high school band. So in 6th grade, we do try to listen to them every single day.
So getting back to that, one of the ways that we do that is we will pick somebody to lead the warm-up for I Play Then You.
Yes.
And they love to do that. They're a little scared
very
at
much
first,
competitive.
but like after they get used to it, they're like, "Oh, can I be the leader for I Play Then You?" They love that, and that is a way for you to hear them without it being like, "Okay, who wants to go?" And they will volunteer for that so easily.
Matter of fact, it becomes a competition. Now, there are instances you will have students, and I think about my trumpet class. My trumpet class it's a relatively large class. There's 8 of them, which is a lot for us. And there are 3 that try to sort of run the section. They are constantly volunteering to play, and the other ones are not. And it's not because they can't do it. It's because they feel kind of shouldered out. So if a kid raises their hand that doesn't typically do it, 2 things need to happen. Number 1, you need to give them the opportunity. Mm-hmm. Number 2, you need to make them feel like they're the best thing since sliced bread, so they'll want to do it again. Positive reinforcement comes in right there, even if it's not great, because if they will continue to raise their hand, then you've got one more kid that's building those skills and building that confidence. In brass, we do it with buzzing, where one person plays we do especially for example, right now, we're doing long tones. We're doing a lot of in the Remington long tones, which, love so much. They build tone. Yay, tone. And so you're tricking them into long tones without them realizing what they're doing. But we do IPYP play, buzz, play, which means I play, they buzz, and I use the harmony director to sort of give us some pitch reference, especially if it's something new. And then I play, they play. Well, if I choose a student to play before buzz, I'll buzz. I'll buzz with them and do the harmony director because it's not going to hurt me. Lord knows I need to buzz more anyway. And so they see that we're all in this together, and that's a big part of that accountability system, knowing that they're part of something bigger than themselves and that the teachers are included in that.
Yeah, it's really good for them to hear that the teacher needs to buzz too, that buzzing is just not a beginner thing. It's an everybody thing.
Building that accountability in the 6th grade. So that's one way that we do it, is basically with our warm up and making sure that we hear those students as much as possible. In the beginning of the year, it's very easy to hear, okay, concert F, blah, and passing it around and giving a good, and you can already be talking about articulation, about length of note, releases, all that stuff.
If you feel like it's a time crunch thing, teach them to pass it down without any pauses. Have them pass it down by, okay, we're going to start the note and you're going to touch the end of it, and we're not going to have any breaks in the sound. Teach them that from the very beginning of the year, and that can carry on. They're going to know how to do that for the rest of the year, and you can be making little notes as they go down, and then you can give them that feedback as soon as they're done with that. It just makes the process go really, really quickly.
Just know that it's not going to be perfect the first time they do it or the second time they do it.
It's going to be a process to switch them over to that.
And the first time they do it without stopping, you need to celebrate that. That is, we talk about celebrating small victories. That's actually a big victory. That's just like finishing a piece for the first time, getting from the start to finish. And it may not be the best thing you've ever heard, not ready for Carnegie Hall, but we made it all the way through the piece without stopping. And that's a big deal. Celebrate that small
Especially
victory.
for those babies who've been playing 8-measure lines.
For sure. Something else we do is we do chair tests in 6th grade. However, we do them a little different. Before Christmas, there is nothing but a first chair. We only give out first chair in each section. We don't let anybody else know what their chair was. Now, if they ask us for their grade,
we'll tell them.
Now, we don't do it in front of everybody.
No, absolutely not.
That's unethical. Don't be unethical. And so we'll give them their grade. They can figure it out. If they want to sit around and talk about it, that's fine. But we only give a first chair, and we give them a sticker. We have a first chair sticker.
And when they get 5 first chair stickers,
they get a first chair brag tag. And if they get 10 first chair stickers, they get a brag tag for that. We've never had somebody get to 20, but
there is a brag tag for that.
There is a brag tag for that. I think we've maybe given out 1, but because one person gets a sticker. Oh, that's a big deal. And in my class, I don't know about your classes, but in my class, the first chair gets to decide the performance order for the next playing test.
Yeah, I think you actually got that idea from me.
It is cruel and beautiful.
Well, your classes might be cruel, but I teach mostly girls, so they are not quite as cruel. In fact, usually the first chair will not pick themselves to go last.
Mine, it varies.
They usually pick their best friend to go last.
Usually the first chair in most of my classes will pick themselves to go in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
But it is strategic. Everything is strategy. And it also depends on how well they're prepared as to where they go to. If they need a little extra time to maybe finger through one more time or something like that. But in the smaller sections, that's how we decide.
I have one girl though. If she's first chair, she will usually go first because she wants to get it over with.
That's my French horns. Whoever's first chair, that's who's going first, and they're going to do it and get it over with, and that's it. And sometimes that works to their advantage, and sometimes it doesn't. But that's okay. My French horns are both pretty solid, so I have no complaints. But that's something that we do. Now, after Christmas, that's when we say, okay, this is first chair, second chair, all the way down to the dreaded last chair. Now, in sections where you may not have a lot of students, for example, I have 2 French horns. They know who's first chair and last chair. There's no hiding that. I have 3 tubas. Sort of the same thing. They know who the worst is on that playing test. There is no...
But for my flute and oboe class, I just put the oboe in with the flutes. She's just part of the group.
Yes, and some sections are like that. And I think most of my biggest class, which is now my last period class is only 1 trumpet player, and so sometimes he gets, and he is bless his heart, he tries very hard. He tries very hard.
He's a sweet kid.
He does. He's very respectful. I'll give him that. And so sometimes I'll group him with the horn. Sometimes I'll group him with the tuba. It depends on the playing test. It really does.
He got put in that class in the middle of the semester, and due
to reasons that were out of our control.
I think if he'd stayed with the trumpet class, he would be in a better spot.
I think he would.
And
But there you go. Sometimes
he's doing the best he can in the circumstance he was placed in.
Yes, and sometimes you just kind of have to ride with the circumstances, and that's okay. That is okay. We still have band. We still teach them, and life is good.
Yeah.
During those playing tests, they may be a line. It may be a section of music. Like right now, we're preparing for our spring concert, and so it may be one rehearsal number to skip one, then the next rehearsal number, so they're a little bit longer. We began using the Make Music software, and that is very interesting. We're still playing with it. We're still trying to figure it out, but I think it's going to be a great asset. But it actually offers you some supplemental things that they can play along with. And so that is an additional something that they can do. But we try to do, sometimes it's a long tone. Sometimes it's sight reading.
Yes.
I've done sight reading.
Sight reading is so important, even in 6th grade.
And you want to know how good it's going? Do a sight reading test.
Absolutely.
Just 2 or 3 measures. That's it. And say, okay, just play as far as you can on this line. And see what they do. Some maybe surprise you. Mm-hmm. Some you're probably going to be able to tell.
Don't just throw it at them and be like, okay, go. Give them a couple of seconds to look through it. Like, give them a little time limit, and then say, okay, I want you to play as far as you can. But if you really want your kids to be successful at sight reading, you have to start them when they're beginners. Mm-hmm. They have to know it's important when they're that age.
And when we're gone, we will give them an assignment. Like, for example, there were a few days that we were gone at the same time in different places. We were judging in different places. And so they had about 2 or 3 days. So we gave them an assignment that first day and said, you will have a playing test the day we come back. Please be prepared for that. And we also give them the opportunity during this time. You are more than welcome to work with a partner on this playing test line. You are more than welcome to XYZ, work in a group, small group, take your horn home and practice. But additionally, you're going to have this class time to practice. For the most part, the students actually did a very good job.
Yeah, we always say you can practice it at home, but you don't have to because you have this class time.
For these 3 days to do that.
And you have friends in class that will learn it with you. So you have that support.
And we have things in place, like systems in place, so that way they can be successful even if we're not giving them any assistance. We clap and count. We say the names, the notes. We air and finger. I mean, we do all those things. So I
even gave my kids my email address. Like I left it for them and said, if you are unsure of how something goes, you can email me a video and I will send you feedback. I'm happy to help, even though I'm not here. I did not get an email.
Well, all of your students did well. There were only a couple that were suspect because I'm the one that had to give out that test, and it was fun. I try to make those.
I think I would have gotten feedback from Sutton. I'm sure Sutton gave you feedback.
Like I gave her feedback.
But I'm saying, like, when you talked to her on the phone, was there any feedback from her?
Oh, no. She said, "Oh, it's fine. Everything's going good."
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "All right, girl, you go get them."
That's feedback.
Yeah, that's feedback. I mean, I suppose. But speaking of feedback, that's a big part of this accountability is they need feedback as quickly as you can possibly get it to them, which means if they play, give them just a little bit of information and move on. Mm-hmm. Something that I believe it was Charles Mangini, a clinic, one of the band director, I call him the godfathers of band, and he's wonderful. If you ever get a chance to go to a clinic of his, please go. He's brilliant. Oh my gosh. And he talked about when you're going down the line, if it's something very simple, you hit it and you say, "Oh, that was great." Da, 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 da. And instead of telling a student, "Oh, you need to work on, oh, that wasn't very good at it," you just say, "Okay, that was good." And then you move on to the next student. And what that will do when you're making a big deal out of these other students, especially if it's a student you're pretty sure didn't practice, just saying, "Oh, that was good," and moving on, that blows their mind. And that almost is sort of negative to them, hearing the word good. And so when they go home and they tell, I believe the example he had was he was doing it with the clarinet class, and the clarinet student went home and said, "Mom, I'm mad at Mr. Mangini." He said, "Why? Mom said, "Why? Why is that?" And he said, "I was good." Well, you can't, what does the parent do? Well, I'm going to get on to him because he told you you were good. Well, it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. So the better, more positive reinforcement. Now, that doesn't mean candy coat it. Oh, please don't. Give them something that they can work on, whether it's tongue position, whether it's the articulation, the start of the note, the meat of the note, the end of the note. You tell a student, "Man, that was some great posture. Now let's work on XYZ. Or, "Man, that was a good breath in. Now let's work on XYZ." So that way they're constantly getting that feedback. That's part of accountability.
And then also you are aware of what those students have needed to improve on in the past. So I like to say, "Wow, I heard improvement on your such and such and such. Let's keep working on whatever else it is that they're needing to improve on."
Yes.
So I like to identify something that they have improved on so that they know I've noticed that, and then give them.
In a smaller school, a lot of times you see which horns go home and which horns don't. So if you see that horn going home with that child, even if it's not really going home, leave the band hall with that instrument every single day, then that kind of feedback is invaluable to them. The students that maybe don't take their horn home every day, that's a whole different bag of cats. But those students that are trying and working and want to get better, that knowing that you notice that they're doing something better is going to make their day. And it may be the best part of their day because you never know. Sometimes math is not a great part of your day, but band can be.
Right.
So that's sixth grade. We do that with sections. We do that with individuals. We try to give as much feedback as we can in beginner year. When we move on to seventh grade, we start off the year very much beginning band 2.0.
Absolutely.
A lot of down the line, a lot of fundamentals, a lot of daily drill.
In fact, we start our seventh grade year with the band split woodwind brass.
Mm-hmm. And the percussion usually hangs out with the brass and is doing mallets the whole time. We put them on mallets and we go to town. And we do that for probably the first month.
Yeah.
Really.
6 weeks.
We're just trying to get them back in line, trying to get them making
reminding
good sounds.
them what a good sound is. So important.
And then tricking them with different things.
Right.
Like play along tracks are very popular right now. That's something you can do. Just doing things that sort of keep them engaged while still, because if you spend too much time on one thing, you lose them. You have to be able to jump between 2 or 3 different concepts every day in order to keep them engaged. Because it's very easy if you're working on Concert F to go a whole period. And I have done this, especially with high school band, go a whole period working Concert F in some way, different shape or form. But I had to do it different ways. Otherwise, I'd have lost them. I guess keep it fresh. Keep options open.
So one way you can do that is just set a timer for yourself. Like have your list of things that you want to accomplish and then give yourself a time limit. And then actually stick to that time limit. When the timer goes off, move on to the new thing.
You got to move on. Something we do with our 7th grade when we start working on our contest evaluation music, they will pass that off, whether it's me in front of them or Michelle in front of them. This year it's me. and we're preparing for an invitational contest because our band is a very strange, weird instrumentation thing going on. And so the pieces that we've picked out, they go in during the period. We do this during the period. We send them out one at a time, and they play. They go in, play their music for Michelle. She gives them a grade, gives them feedback, and they come straight back. So it's just a constant process. It takes 2 days to get all the way through our pass-offs for our 7th grade.
And the pass-offs are very small portions of the music. They're not coming in and playing the entire piece.
Rehearsal number to rehearsal number, or maybe two rehearsal numbers,
depending on the piece. It's about 16 to 28 measures at most.
These are level 1, grade 1.5 type pieces.
Right.
These are not Russian Christmas music we're talking about.
Yeah, if you're in Texas, they're on the grade 1 PML list.
Yeah, or even if you're looking at the classifications on J.W. Pepper Appenders, grade 1, grade 1.5, maybe a grade 2 if we're feeling saucy.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think we're doing a grade 2 this year. We're doing
so.
Ones and 1.5s.
Or like the very easy to easy list.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that because you can teach a lot with that stuff, and it gives them a chance to be successful. But they know that, okay, next week I'm going to have a pass off on this, so I better work on this.
Right.
And believe it or not, we didn't know. You never know going in with the first group how that's going to go, but I'm always pleasantly surprised.
Right.
Whether I'm the one listening to the pass offs or looking at the grades after the fact.
And we make them pass off with a metronome because we want to hear that they can keep a steady tempo.
And that is so important. Talk about accountability. A metronome keeps your pulse accountable.
Right.
All the way through. And we do playing tests in 6th grade with metronome.
Right.
Every time. But yeah, definitely having a metronome there. We do use tuners. We don't really hold that too much against the students.
No, not too
much.
But
it's good to be able to talk about in their pass-offs, hey, for example, flutes.
Yes.
This note is really bad on the flute. Make sure that you're moving your air this direction or aiming at this direction. Or
you might want to pull out your tuner and check that while you are playing and make sure you adjust it in this way. If you notice it's sharp, then you need to do this with your embouchure and airstream.
Mm-hmm. And that saves you time in rehearsal too, if you have one person doing that. Now, if you are a one-person show, you can still do this. And I know this because I've done it when I was a one-man show. What you do is you just schedule each section. Like, for example, I have 3 flutes right now in 7th grade band. That would be my Monday. Or I have 1 saxophone. I would do flute and saxophone one day. But you do it in front of the entire band. And you're like, well, they got to play in front of the whole band. Well, they got to play in front of a judge. They got to play in front of mom and dad. And
that gets them ready for things like solo and ensemble contests or region auditions. Like, it's not bad for them to play in front of an audience.
And it lets everybody else practice concert etiquette, which is so important. That's a whole different episode. I could go down a road, talk about concert etiquette all day long. But that's what you're teaching them when they're having to listen. And I actually take points off kids' grades if they talk or are disruptive while another student is playing. Yep. It's just rude. Now, do we applaud after every student? No, we don't have time for that. If it's good, we may do the 1 clap thing where you go 1, 2, 3, bam, and everybody claps and you move on to the next person. But we have done it. Matter of fact, Michelle has done it with her concert band because I was busy taking care of something else. She said, well, I'll just do pass-off steering band, and did it as part of the class. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just don't want to spend the whole period on it.
Yeah, you just assign a section a day, and it doesn't take a very long time. You just have to move very quickly, and you pick one or 2 things to give feedback on, but you can write them a little sticky note and give it to them if you really want to give them a lot of feedback. Just have a little sticky note pad there, and then you can give them their sticky notes after they play.
Of course. So that's 7th grade, which is a little bit more involved than 6th grade, but not a lot. And then we get into high school band. High school band pass-offs are holding that accountability, height of accountability is very, very important to the success of any band program. Out of the many things we do, I think it is the most beneficial for a number of reasons. We do it in the fall. We do it in the spring. When students come to pass off for marching band, they have to mark time if it is something that we are using on the field. If we are marching to it, they are marking time to it. And the reason why we do that is so that way we can see the pulse in their feet. We can see how their feet lines up with their fingers and their hands and what the overall effect is going to be and where they may need the help. because sometimes if they just play, you're like, oh man, this kid's going to kill it. And then you put their feet with it and everything just goes down
together. Yeah.
And so it's good to do that.
And it also shows us, like, if we need to, like, maybe they're really struggling playing 16th notes while marking time. Well, they're not going to be able to march while playing 16th notes either. So we can adjust their music for them. And maybe they're more successful playing 8th notes while they march, or maybe they need it to be quarter notes. They can still play something and they can still contribute to the sound of the band. We just have to adjust their music for them. Don't be afraid to do that kind of stuff, because you don't want them to just do nothing. You still need that person playing. You just have to adjust what they're playing
to where they can be successful and gain that confidence, because that kid in 2 or 3 years is going to be that kid playing those 16th notes.
You're going to need them playing when they're older.
Yes. And I look back over students in my career where they could barely do anything their first year marching band, but by the time that they were a senior, they were not only contributing, but they were first chair.
They were the superstar.
And that's how you build your superstars. And you need to make it not like it's a punishment that you have to, or that it is an inconvenience to you.
Oh, absolutely not.
You go, hey, you know what? I bet I can make this better for you. Would you be okay with that? Could we try something? And just take the time and do that. Mm-hmm. And I've done that. It didn't matter the size of my program. I've been in bands where I've had 40 to 50 students. I've been in bands where I've had 300 students. And my approach has always been the same in regards to that. When students come to pass off for me or a member of my staff in a bigger situation, it is okay to adjust that music and make it more palatable, and so that they can be successful on it.
And the other part of that is, if you make it more accessible for that student, they are going to like being in band more, because it's going to be more fun if they can actually do the things you're asking them to do. If it is impossible for them, they're not going to be enjoying it. They're just going to feel down on themselves.
Matter of fact, if you think of it like math, and I'm not a fan of the math, not at all. If you are sitting and there is a teacher telling you this is the way you have to do it, and you don't understand that way, and there's a different way, but that teacher doesn't take the time to show you that way, you resent that teacher. You hate going to that class. And so you don't try. And it becomes just torture, having to go sit in the class with a teacher who doesn't want to help you understand. Band doesn't have to be that way. Band is even more easily adjustable, I think.
Absolutely.
To the talents of the student. And it's not to the detriment of the student. It's to the talents of the student at that time. It's a mindset thing. And if you have students in your marching band that are in 7th grade or 8th grade, and there was somebody, oh my gosh, somebody commented they had band students in 6th grade that were marching, and I was like, "Oh
my word!
You are you're successful. That is a miracle." I was so impressed. I was so impressed by that.
That is crazy.
So if you have students, now I think they started band in the 4th grade, but still, I look at 6th graders and they are little balls of
I mean, our daughter is in 6th grade.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Although she does practice marching out while we're marching.
We actually have a great video of her when she was in like 3rd grade trying to learn to march.
It was so precious. So I'm sure it can be done, but you have to be able to adjust it, because a senior, if you put a senior on music that a 7th grader can play, that senior is going to be bored.
Absolutely.
And if you put a 7th grader on music that a senior is going to play and you don't adjust it, that 7th grader is going to want to get out of there as quickly as possible. Yeah. So that's something that you need to consider.
And that's one of the reasons you want to do pass-offs, because you have to check in with those kids.
Mm-hmm. In regards to pass-offs, we encourage students to come do them in person. For marching band, especially if they're passing off show music, because we have to be able to see them march. Now, we allow them to do it in groups into, I've even done groups of up to 5 if it's the same part, because you can kind of tell who's getting and who's not. And sometimes the student just needs a little extra confidence coming in with them.
It helps if you have like those babies, they're nervous, they're scared to come in, but if you can get them to come in with some older kids, it gives them a little confidence. And the older kids love to help.
They do. If you have a band program where the culture is a positive culture and you're student led, then those students are going to want to help build that program, because that legacy is what they're leaving behind, and they know that.
And especially like they've probably already come in and passed off. If they can come in and use that to raise their grade a little bit,
and they're
all about that.
We do allow grade raising. Now, we do have dates because life is about dates and deadlines. As much as I hate to say it, it is. You have to get XYZ done by this date or it doesn't happen, or you get fired depending on what job you're doing. And so what we do is we have a pass off date. If the student does not pass off that music by that date,
doesn't try
by that date, the highest grade they can make is an 85, even if they play it perfectly, because part of their grade is doing it on time. Now, if a student comes in and passes it off the first time and makes a 70, so we're talking basic concepts are there, lots of work needs to be done. But then they come back in the next week and they attempt again. Then they get up to a 75. And then they come in and attempt again. Maybe that gets them to a 78. And then all of a sudden they take a big jump. They come in and pass it off and the light bulb goes off and it's a 90. I give them as much time to the end of the 6 weeks usually so they can come in and raise that grade as many times as they want. But if I do a morning sectional and they show up, their grade raises. If we do an early morning call for a playthrough, because we'll do early morning playthroughs just so the kids can start their day playing through the marching show, I raise their grade for that. If you're willing to put in the time outside of band and outside of my rehearsal time that I've set forth, then, and
we'll
it's optional, we're going to reward you for that. That you deserve that. You're making your band and yourself better.
Or just like if we see you helping an 8th grader or a freshman with their music, that will look at you and say, "Hey, I'm gonna raise one of your pass offs." Mm-hmm. It's just like things like that. We're gonna reward you when we see you doing something above and beyond to help the program.
That wow factor that is helping to build your band program. In regards to we pass off everything. We pass off our show music. We have what we call pop tunes that we play. We have a majorette corps and a color guard and all that kinds of stuff that we perform for. Those they don't have to pass off by memory. They can look at the music. It's not a big deal. They can pass off with recordings, and we do a lot of recordings with our spring music as well, where they go on. We use Google Classroom. I'm sure there are other platforms out there, but we are a Google school. We are Google crazy. And I actually created a band pass-off portal, which is a Google Classroom. It just happens to have that name, with each pass-off in there that the students have to join, and they can go in there and submit those pass-offs. You can give them typed feedback, and that type feedback may be, hey, make sure that you're really staying with the metronome, because we do require them to use a metronome if they're going to pass off. If they don't use a metronome, it's a 0. That is a rule that
it's a basic
I will
expectation.
Not bend.
Yeah.
And if there's a few things that are wrong, I'll say fix, resubmit. And 9 times out of 10 they will. If it's a situation to where you just don't know what to type because there's so much that needs improvement, my comment will be you need to come in for a face-to-face meeting. That does not mean that I'm going to make that student feel bad. That means that I'm going to figure out what's wrong and fix that student. And their job is to contact one of us to set up that time to come in and get better. And that time may be before school, after school, lunch.
Yeah.
A period that we don't have anything, which is not very many periods available, but a time that we can actually spend the time to help improve them.
And that may be one of those cases where we have to, adjust the music a little bit for them to make it more playable. But we can't do that without being with them.
Without, being right there and actually putting hand to music for them. I think when they come in, the students that do come in really appreciate that we're taking the time to make them better. There are some students that'll pass off online and you go, oh, you're awesome. Submit. I did have, for one of our most recent pass-offs, I had 3 trombones that passed off together. And so I got to put in all their grades separately, but they passed off together. And that showed me a couple of things that I would not have heard otherwise. I got to hear their intonation, which is great because there were a ton of E-flats above the staff. And let me tell you, if you're a trombone player, that E-flat is going to be sharp every day of the week, and you got to move it out just a little bit to lock that in. And so they had been working on that, and they wanted to show off that they'd been working on that. And I was so thankful because it was like a 3-in-1 deal. And it was good. If it would have been bad, I'd been like, no, you need to go back and resubmit this all individually. But they were able to do it without a problem. So there are ways to make that more accessible for your students, especially your students that are working and getting better.
I'm also going to add to this, and this is something that we struggle with, and it's just because our kids, a lot of them are just such perfectionists, but really encourage your kids to come in even if they are not perfect.
Or even if they're lost.
Because we want our kids to come in because it's not just to pass off, but it's a check-in. Like, we want to see how you're doing because we can help you. Like, if there's something that you're really struggling with, we might be able to give you some tips on how to make it better. And because you have that deadline, you need to get a grade in the book too.
Yes.
So if you get that grade in the book, and then we can give you some tips to make it better, you can come in and raise your grade. But if you just don't come in because it's not perfect, then that hurts you more. If you're going to use the same system that we are, encourage them to come in no matter where they are in the process. Just come in and let us hear what you got going so we can help you out. Because if we don't hear you, we can't help you.
Now, I will say that I will do little surprises, and they're positive surprises. For example, we had a half day, and the students were told by administrators that they did not have to come that day unless they wanted to. And so we had band, and
we just love that.
Unbeknownst to me that was said. I didn't find out till right before band, and I went, oh, great. So we had about, a quarter of the band there, maybe a third of the band there, a little bit more than a quarter. And I told them, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to rehearse this section to this section of your music that was your first pass off. That had already been due, by the way. And I said, if we can get this far, if we can meet this goal, then I will give you, if you don't have the pass off on it, you will have the pass off on it by the time you leave class. And those students locked in, and we had the best rehearsal. It was fun, too. We just had a blast just making music. Hey, let's try this. Everybody's got the notes and the rhythms. Let's try this. Oh, that was not good. That's my fault. Let's try this. Let's try this now. And we just did that for a whole period, and it was literally the most fun ever. And I only had about a third of my kids, but they all walked out of there with a pass off for two sections of that same piece of music. And there were a couple of students. There's a horn player that had not tried anything, but I knew he could play it because everyone around him had told me, man, he's doing really, really good. He's just scared because he came back to band after not being in for a year and doesn't know what to expect. But he's knocking it out of the park. Well, that was a chance for him to get that feedback because I did point out the horns at one part and work some stuff that didn't sound right. And so he got that reward because he didn't have to come to school that day, but he did. Matter of fact, there were only 2 horns there that day out of my 4. But it's little surprises like that. So that way those students go, oh, well, Mr. King he's not a tyrant. He doesn't want to see us fail. He wants to see us succeed. And I think it's important that students see that. So that is our accountability on 6th, 7th, and 8th. Now, the hardest level of accountability.
You mean high school?
High school. 8th is high school for us, though. But the hardest level of accountability is holding yourself accountable.
Absolutely.
And it is also my least favorite type of accountability. But there are about 1 million different ways you can do it. Now, we're not going to go through 1 million because our podcast, we try to keep under a certain time limit. We try to, if you have a 45-minute commute, you can get through one of ours, go into work and coming home. That's the goal because I have ADD, Michelle has ADD, and our attention spans just can't handle super long podcasts. Or at least not all at one time. We do them in little bitty spurts. So holding yourself accountable, the best way to do that is to write things down. I have found. Is to write things down. I will make a list when I get to work in the morning. This is what I need to accomplish throughout the day. My little checklist. I love marking crap off a list.
Josh will just write things down to mark them off.
Yes. So
like he'll do something that wasn't on the list and then write it down so he can mark it off.
It is the best ever. And at the end of the day, you can look at everything that you accomplished. I do that in regards to rehearsals too. Some people will do, I don't do this because it's just too much on my score. But a lot of people I know will do sticky notes.
That's what I do.
Yes, with things I need to do this today. And that's how they do their score study.
I like tearing the sticky notes out. That's why I do that.
And it's just too much for my brain to handle. And so I'll make notes of things I need to do in rehearsal and just sort of keep them on a legal pad. And I'll mark them off during rehearsal. And part of that accountability for me, too, is sort of linked with the students because if they don't come and pass off their music, I don't know what needs to take priority.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if they're playing something that has a lot of 16th notes, this year we're playing a piece called Viva by Jack Wilds. If you've never played it, you should. It is a super fun teaching piece.
The kids love it.
It is so much fun, but it has a ton of 16th passages in it. especially for a grade 3 piece of music or grade 4 piece of music. I can't remember what it is. I think
if there's
3
one thing that I wrote on a ton of sheets, it was 16th note clarity.
Yes, and because what do you want to do with 16ths? You want to compress them.
Yep.
So if they're coming in and they're all compressing, if my best players are all compressing their 16th notes, I know that is a 911 priority to work on in my rehearsal. And so we will go back to the metronome and slow it down and clean it up in one rehearsal, or even not even one whole rehearsal, half of a rehearsal or 5 minutes from 2 or 3 rehearsals. All of a sudden we don't have that problem in that section anymore because those students came and passed it off to me and I wrote it down and I held myself accountable. You also, with accountability, you have to give yourself grace.
Yes.
Because your list may be too long to get to all in one day.
And it's okay because yes.
Matter of fact, that's me most days.
And the other thing about that is, like, if you don't accomplish it if you don't accomplish one of the things on your list, you work on it and it's not getting fixed, it's okay to let it go. Like, if you see let it go. If you see the kids, you see the glaze coming over their eyes, it's okay to say, we will come back to this tomorrow. The problem will still be there tomorrow.
Yes, it will.
Come back to it tomorrow. Maybe sleeping on it will make something change in their brain and they'll understand what you're asking for better. But like, if you start to see that glaze coming over their eyes, it's time to let it go because you're not going to get anywhere.
And if you go, and there have been times where I have been stubborn, and it was in my younger part of my career, I believe, for sure, where you just go, no, I'm going to double down and we're going to get this.
That is absolutely the wrong thing to do.
And you're mad at them. They're mad at you. You hate your life. You don't want to go to work the next day. They don't want to come to school and they dread coming to your class. Band should be fun. Now, I'm not saying band shouldn't be work. Band is work. Band is very hard work. And any student that's in a good band program will tell you, we work our tails off. But band should be fun. You should have some moments. And during concert season, and if you get to have concert band all year round, super jealous of you. I am super jealous of you. Big schools do that all the time in Texas. They have their wind ensemble meets every single day, all the way through the year, and marching band is completely after school. And I'm mildly jealous of you because I love concert band. I love sit-down band. I'm always looking for those rehearsals, those parts of rehearsals where you make music happen. And taking the moment and going, guys, you did it. That was a moment. We made this moment today. And I need you to grasp onto this and keep it for future use. That is also part of your accountability. Seek those moments in your music. And some days you may not get one. Or some days it may be the concert F, the first concert F you make, where you hear, and like for our French ones, they do a fifth displacement, and you hear that perfect fifth, and it is in tune, and it is beautiful. That's your moment for that day, and you can bank that. There's nothing wrong with taking your moment or moments from something that's in daily drill or something that a student gets right that they've had a problem with or something very small. Or it can be you get to the climax of a piece and it just hits and you get that feeling where you're about to cry and you've got the hairs on the back of your neck standing up and the kids feel it too, and you just have that moment that you get to share. Seek those and have the students seek those. And that's part of my accountability system is I'm always looking for that. I'm looking for the beauty that is whatever we're doing at that time. And that can happen in any class. It can happen with 6th grade. The first time that we did our long tone exercises and everybody was on the right partial, I almost cried. I'm not going to lie. That was a moment of beauty, and I pointed that out to those students.
I'm still waiting for all the clarinets to hit low E without a squeak. I might cry when that happens.
I hear you because I worked your clarinets and we did a little bit of that. And in her clarinet class, you have to, where this is a side trail, but you have to do that in order to get your bell. And she has one student that has her bell and she is very cocky.
Oh,
I love her. She is
very proud of herself.
Cool. But she is very cocky. Mr. King, I'm the only one that has my bell. Did you know that? And she says that every day.
There are so many of them have gotten to the low E, and that's when they squeak.
There.
They're very close. And
she has a good clarinet. And don't get me wrong, her clarinet class is fun. I really enjoy teaching them.
They really are very good.
I really enjoy them.
They just it's like they get excited because they've gotten to the E, and then it's like they get too excited and they squeak. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's very disconcerting, I think, to them. But seek out those moments of beauty in your rehearsals, and that will help you hold yourself accountable too. And probably finally on your accountability, for me anyway, is don't take it too seriously. Students are not their goal is not to make your life harder.
That's a true story.
And sometimes it's hard to see that.
It's not about you.
It's not about you.
It may feel like it is, but it probably isn't.
And it doesn't matter the situation, whether it's in rehearsal, whether a student decides not to be in your program anymore. It's not about you. It's about something else that you have no control over. And this is just their way of dealing with it. And you have to kind of be okay with that. And that's hard. That's hard. Music extends past anything. You get to have band tomorrow. Not you have to have band. You get to have band. And if you ever get to the point where you feel like I have to have band, then something needs to happen for you. Not necessarily that you have to stop doing what you're doing, but just creating a new mindset and looking at how you do things and setting those goals, which is also a big part of accountability. Set your goals. Fail. Failure is good. It is painful a lot of times, but from failure, good things can come. Can definitely come. We hope that this episode has given you some insight into our accountability system and ways that you can probably adapt it or things that you are already doing. And if you're doing something that we didn't mention.
Yeah, if you have a great accountability idea, let us know.
Littlebandology@gmail.com. Drop us a line and say, hey, you forgot about XYZ, or just post on our Facebook page. Reach out to us. Let us know, especially if you're in a different state or country.
Yeah.
All our listeners all around the world, man, we are so thankful for you for tuning in.
Thanks.
Over the seas. And we do hope that if you are preparing for evaluation here in Texas, we have concert sight reading contests through UIL. But if you are in other states and you're working on evaluation, we do hope that you have a pleasant experience.
Or if you've already gone, hope it went well.
Congratulations. You made it. Regardless of what the rating is, I guarantee you your students got better. And if you need to pick me up in that respect, go to Randall Standridge's Facebook page.
He has some great words of wisdom.
Oh, man. On rough days, I can always go to his page and be made to feel better. And he knows because he was there. He played the small school game, guys. A lot of people have played that game that sometimes you don't realize. And he did, and he understands you. He understands you.
And then random thing before we go.
What?
Since you've done some judging gigs,
mm-hmm.
What is the coolest piece that you didn't know that you heard while you were judging?
Oh no, this is so hard. I knew a lot. Like a lot. I don't think I heard any new, like brand new pieces I'd never heard before.
Really?
I don't think I did.
Okay, so I was
you
really,
did.
yes.
Man, her programming, that programmer Region 10's got it going on.
They play a little bit of everything. So many pieces I hadn't heard before. But the one that I thought was the coolest that I had never heard was Proxima B by Stephen Piter. Like, if you haven't heard that piece, go look it up. It was really cool.
And I will attest to that. It is pretty cool. She texted me and said, you need to listen to this. And I did, and it was very pleasant.
It was cool.
I enjoyed it very much. No, there were not a lot of pieces that I had not heard.
I was
this year.
I was really impressed by the variety of music. There were very few things that we heard over and over and over again. I mean, there were a couple things, but it was not like what I'm used to.
Oh yeah. Usually, I mean, there are sometimes you go to festival and
there wasn't like the flavor of the year. Yeah.
Everybody played a little bit of different stuff, which is a lot of fun. And that makes it fun for the judges too, getting to hear all different kinds of music. I enjoyed a lot of the music. I heard Illumination, the Maslanka Illumination.
Oh, I did too.
And it was so good. It was so good. It was a 3A band that played it too.
That's what I heard too. A 3A band played it.
It was magical. Like the whole time I just stopped looking at the score, sat back and I went, this is wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this with me.
I know. Yeah. Well, if you're a 3A band playing that, you have to be pretty good.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I'm on your side. If you're a band, you're pushing something difficult, I am on your side.
What else did that band play? The whole band, that whole program was very hossy. Yeah.
But that being said, please tune in. We are about to start popping back episodes, so be sure to put us on for your commute. And we do have some things we didn't tell you in this episode, but we do have some appearances that are coming up in the next few months that we'll be discussing and talking about, where we get to present again, and we are so excited about that. So we'll talk about that in our next episode. But until that time, thank you for listening.
Bye.
This episode brought to you by Premier Music Teaching Aids. Check us out online at premiermusicteachingaids.com for any of your music teaching aid needs. Catch us online at Little Bandology or email us at littlebandology@gmail.com.